Welcome to our third seminar in our lecture series called Fasting and Ketosis, How to Stop Counting Calories and Start Enjoying Health and Weight Loss. For those of you who missed our previous seminars, the first one was an introduction to the ketogenic diet, and the second one was how to avoid or overcome the keto flu or the carb flu. And those videos can be seen in our private Facebook group, which you can request to join by going to ketomamas.com or just talk to me, email me, or message me. In the first seminar, I mentioned that weight loss is about what you eat and when you eat. So we talked about the what you eat in that first lecture, and this lecture covers the when to eat. And we will be covering the health benefits of fasting, intermittent fasting schedules, planning your extended fast, focusing on what you are gaining, 6 fasting tips to remember, and the difference between insulin and intermittent fasting, those things compared. So the word fasting, it sounds very intimidating because it sounds like torture, right? We love to eat and we don't want to deprive ourselves. But I'll let you in on a little secret. Once you become fat adapted, meaning when your body's trained to burn fat for energy instead of burning sugar, then you can easily go long periods of time without food and you won't feel deprived because you won't feel hungry or have cravings. So becoming fat adapted is the goal. At that point, you can easily switch back and forth from burning glucose to burning fat. And this is called metabolic flexibility. And it will help you take control of your eating, your weight, and ultimately your health. So I used to think of fasting as only defined by not eating or drinking for a period of time. But there are actually many different kinds of fasts and ways to fast and different lengths of time to fast. But before we go into that, I want to go over the benefits of fasting. So taking a break from food naturally cuts down on the amount of food eaten within a 24-hour period and gives the body a chance to heal itself. When the body is not concentrating on energy for digestion, a wonderful process known as autophagy begins, and the amazing body starts to get rid of toxins and old damaged cells and replaces them with new healthy cells. Literally meaning self-eating, autophagy is the consumption and recycling of the body's own tissue for health and rejuvenation. So we're going to list 11 benefits of fasting. So these are the 10 other ones besides autophagy, which I'll talk about at the end. So the first one is weight loss or fat loss, lower blood sugar, lower blood cholesterol, lower blood insulin, improved mental clarity, improved concentration, increased energy, reduced inflammation, and potentially lengthened lifespan. And they're even reversing type 2 diabetes now with fasting. There's Dr. Jason Fung, who is the author of the Obesity Code, and he's my favorite go-to authority for fasting. He's helped over 1,000 patients overcome obesity and type 2 diabetes just using fasting techniques. It's amazing. And then, of course, the last one we touched on, stimulating autophagy. So that's that rejuvenation. It's kind of an anti-aging effect that happens when we fast. Back in the good old days when families used to sit down and eat dinner together, do you remember that? People would eat breakfast at 8 in the morning and dinner by 6, maybe have some dessert, but they wouldn't eat again until breakfast the next day. The word break fast refers to this natural evening cycle of going without food. And this was a 12 to 14 hour period of not eating each day, and it played an important factor that contributed to maintaining a relatively trim population of Americans. Today, people are eating and snacking constantly. Some are eating 6 to 10 times a day, and they never give their bodies a break from eating and digestion until they're asleep, and even then, they wake up and get a midnight snack. So the very first step to entering the world of fasting is to incorporate what is called intermittent fasting or reduced schedule eating. So at least going that 12 hours between meals, 8 of which you're sleeping, so it should be relatively easy to start there. And there are different intermittent fasting schedules. So here's some examples. A 12-12 is 12 hours of fasting and then a 12-hour window in which you have to eat. And this is best for a weight maintenance. If you move to a 16-8, this is 16 hours of fasting and then you have an 8-hour window to eat. And this is commonly used in the keto diet. A lot of people do this every day. Then there's a 24, which is 20 hours of fasting and a 4 hours of eating window. This is great for weight loss. And then there's even a 23-1, which is a 1 meal a day, which is abbreviated OMAD. And you'll see this a lot in the keto world. They'll talk about 1 meal a day, and this is an even more aggressive approach. So many people on the keto diet try to do the 16-8 every day. Some people do the 24-hour or the 23-1 a couple times a week. This can be achieved by starting after dinner. You skip breakfast and lunch the next day, and then you eat dinner again the same time you ate dinner the night before. So this is really not difficult to do, and I'll give you some ideas on how to help you if that seems hard. But of course, you know your own health limitations. You just have to try to stretch that fasting period as long as you can. And please remember to always drink lots of water during a fast. So don't fast from water too. Always keep yourself hydrated. And I suggest that you even keep taking your micronutrients. So you may completely be cutting out your macronutrients, which is your fat, your protein, and your carbohydrates, but you should still take your micronutrients, which is your vitamins, your minerals, amino acids, fatty acids, all those kinds of supplements. And this will help curb some of the unpleasant side effects that you may experience during fasting, such as your headache, dizziness, stomach gurgling, sore muscles, cramps, or constipation. And these may be just needing some more sodium and potassium and magnesium. So it's super important to keep taking those micronutrients. And I have ones that I recommend, so you can contact me for supplement advice anytime at the ketomamadvice@gmail.com or just message me on Facebook. So water fasting is what health authorities are really stressing as the best. But you can drink liquids with some added fat to help you go longer before you eat. This is called a fat fast because you're not eating any proteins or carbohydrates, only liquids with some added fat. So you might try some organic green tea or herbal teas or coffee with some coconut oil in it and some sweetener like stevia instead of sugar. Or bone broth is another liquid that's full of fat and salts that can help you stretch your fasting period. And some people will do a 3-day fast of just bone broth. So that's a great way to still be drinking something, staying hydrated, having some fat to satiate you and help you go longer. So these are super healthy, give you energy during your fast. And you've probably heard of juice fasts where you just drink grape juice or apple juice for a few days or a week. Some people do that. But when you do that, you're just feeding yourself this straight concentrated liquid sugar for a whole week. So I don't recommend that type of fast at all, especially if you're trying to get into ketosis and burn the fat off your own body. That would not be helpful. So those are some different kinds of fasts. But biologically, you don't enter a true fast until after 30 hours. So some of us are used to fasting once a month for religious reasons and usually do a 24-hour fast. But if you stretch it to 30 hours, then you've burned off all the glucose in your cells. And then you reach that true state of fasting. So when starting the keto diet, you can quickly get into ketosis by fasting for 36 hours. This can be achieved by starting your fast after dinner, say at 8 p.m., not eating the whole following next day, and then breaking your fast at 8 a.m. the next morning. So you're really just going one whole day without food because 2 of those times is sleep. But that will help you stop your carbohydrate or your sugar cravings and jumpstart you into your diet by putting you right into ketosis. And some say that they can't do that, and if they can't, then you can try those fat fasts, those liquids with fat added to help you. I've even read that some people say there's no reason to fast longer than 16 hours. But there's been some research done at the University of Southern California by a Dr. Longo, and he has confirmed that fasting longer can unlock potential healing in the body. So Dr. Longo did a study on yeast and then on mice, and then he conducted a human clinical trial to observe the health effects of fasting. In the yeast, fasting increased longevity. With the mouse study, Dr. Longo said when fasting was done only twice a month for 4 days, these mice lived longer and had about half the cancers as the other mice. And when they did develop cancer, they developed it later in life. He found that cognitive performance improved, they had less inflammation, and they lost fat, specifically in the abdomen. So some pretty interesting results. In the human study, Dr. Longo implemented a fasting mimicking diet, or FMD, which, by the way, the ketogenic diet is also considered a fasting mimicking diet. So when you couple ketogenic diet with fasting, it's a really powerful way to lose weight. So Dr. Longo reported that the results showed in the humans a reduction in body weight and body fat and a reduction in IGF-1 hormone, which accelerates aging and disease. The clinical trial also showed a decrease in C-reactive protein, which is a marker for inflammation, which is associated with diseases from heart disease to cancer. At the end of the fasting mimicking diet period, blood glucose levels were 40% lower, a finding that researchers say may show that fasting can help with diabetes and other degenerative diseases. And like I said, Dr. Fung is already doing that and proving that fasting is helping with diabetes and obesity. Another amazing find in the study revealed that fasting for 3 to 5 days increased production of stem cells, or undifferentiated simple cells in the body that are able to regenerate into any one of various kinds of cells. So these stem cells promote healing and anti-aging. So it's really amazing. And I love this because fasting is something that's available to everyone. It doesn't cost anything. And it's just a natural way that God's given us to help take a break, rejuvenate. And it's wonderful. Dr. Longo suggests that a healthy individual who exercises, is the perfect weight, and eats a healthy diet may need to fast this way maybe only twice a year. But someone that has high fasting glucose, high blood pressure, is overweight or obese, or has a high risk of cancer in the family probably needs to do it once a month. So that's interesting. However, if you want to fast for 5 days, I strongly encourage you to know your own body and its limits and even do so under medical supervision. However, my husband has done this. He fasted for 5.5 days only with water, and I believe that it was the key to helping him lose 40 pounds. It changed his metabolism, and he wrote a whole blog about it on ketomamas.com. You can go read it. But I'd like to mention a few points that he brought out in his blog. He said, fasting is an essential part of the keto diet. Not only does it naturally put you in a state of ketosis, but it also trains your will to be the master of your body. Mind over body is especially important in sustaining the keto diet. Furthermore, having the mental and emotional strength to overcome your unhealthy childhood comfort and convenient foods, social environments, and peer pressure is essential to sustaining a keto lifestyle. He suggests planning your extended fast out ahead of time by avoiding holidays, vacations, or special occasions, turning down unreasonable expectations from other people, family, friends, or businesses, civic or religious requirements, and then stay away from intense physical labor. He said extended fasts should be taken seriously and are not for the faint of heart. If you don't feel that you're able to fast for 5 days with only water, don't be discouraged. He said, I've learned that very few people are up to the challenge. The challenges of extended fasts can push a person to their limit and beyond, which is why many people are not able to reach that 5-day finish line. He said, because I have already had experience with 3 and 4-day complete fasts, where he even didn't have water, he said, I was confident I could go the distance. Like the Navy SEAL whose training pushes him beyond the normal scope of human endurance, extended fasting shows you what metal you are made of. Furthermore, going without food for extended periods of time allows you to prove to yourself that your will is stronger than the demands of your body. And then he gives some suggestions to help strengthen your willpower. He said, when your stomach feels empty, when your energy is low, or when your mind drifts to your favorite foods, then focus on what you are gaining. So these are some points that he mentions that you can focus on. The health benefits of an extended fast. So the liver begins to create ketones and converts from burning sugars to burning fat for fuel. You have weight loss, and this is fat loss, not lean muscle loss. We'll talk about that in a second. Natural detoxification of the body is happening. You're discarding old damaged cells and replacing them with young healthy cells. Your digestive system rests and allows your body to focus on healing. And then you have stem cell production after the 3 days of fasting to 5 days. So focusing on the benefits of extended fasting is one way to strengthen your willpower. Instead of thinking about what you'd like to eat and realizing that you are having a full meal of your own body fat. Furthermore, remember that each time you look in the mirror, you will look younger and healthier than the time before. So that's a little bit about my husband's experience with fasting. I am actually still a nursing mother, so I haven't gone that long fasting. But when I'm done nursing, I really would like to try a more extended fast to experience some of those wonderful benefits. So some people do worry about losing muscle during fasting. And in fact, that's a comment that I've heard. You're just losing all your muscle if you go that long. But it's important to remember that fasting is not starving. This is an ancient practice, and it's the voluntary avoidance of food for a beneficial outcome. Our bodies have been adapted to go through periods of feast and famine. Fasting helps us achieve a healthy weight while maintaining your muscle mass. I mentioned Dr. Jason Fung before. He's my favorite fasting authority. He also wrote a book called The Complete Guide to Fasting. And he said, one of the main worries of fasting is the loss of lean body mass or muscle. Many studies have been done on this, and these fears are largely misplaced. In one study, fasting every other day did not produce any loss of lean body mass over 22 days, even as body weight steadily decreased. Typical adult Americans are packing around 30 to 60 days of stored energy in the form of fat on their bodies. So think of fasting as eating up all those stored meals that you're carrying around with you every day. It's important to remember that the body takes great care to package body fat in a readily available form so that when it doesn't have food, it can easily burn that fat for fuel. So it won't turn to eating its own muscle when it has so much fat to burn first. It's going to burn the fat first. So there's 6 tips I'd like to go over to remember while you're fasting. Number 1 is to stay hydrated, especially for the extended fast. Drinking lots of water can help curb the hunger, and if you're suffering from a chronic disease, then you may be very motivated to heal and do a longer fast. Continue taking your vitamins and minerals to keep up your micronutrient levels. Ease back into eating food again, especially for extended fasts, because your body needs to adjust to digesting again. So start with bone broth, then add small amounts of easily digestible foods like cooked vegetables, and then you can move to more heavier foods like meat. Avoid binging when coming off a fast, or you might get a bellyache. Replenish your electrolytes, so sodium, potassium, magnesium, to support the body and to get your bowels moving again. And then if you're under 18, pregnant, nursing, or underweight, you should not fast. If you're taking medications, only fast under a doctor's supervision. So keep that in mind. This ancient lost art of fasting is making a comeback as more and more people are unlocking its healing and weight loss potential. To end this lecture, I want to emphasize that it's a mistake to focus on calorie counting. Instead, we need to focus on eating the types of foods that bring our hormones into balance and balance our blood sugar, which are the foods that we talked about in the intro to the keto diet, as well as avoiding the foods that alter our hormones and thus alter our metabolism, which I'm going to go over in a future video. We also need to focus on not eating too much when it's the when covered in this lecture on fasting. We also need to focus on not eating too often, not too much, too often. And that's the when that we're talking about. So each time we eat, the hormone insulin increases and tells our body to store fat. So here we have, this already is showing intermittent fasting. When you intermittent fast, it heals the gut, it reduces inflammation, improves your hormone sensitivity, and increases human growth hormone, and helps you become a fat burner. However, every time you eat, you produce insulin, which also increases inflammation, increases blood pressure, increases testosterone in women and estrogen in men, increases oxidative stress, and increases cholesterol. So when you go longer periods without eating, then you are limiting the amount of insulin produced, which produces all of these negative effects in your body. So I hope that you gained some valuable information in the seminar. Please go to ketomamas.com and sign up for our private Facebook group so that you can get some more attention and support on your ketogenic journey, more knowledge. And you can go to ketomamasgroup@gmail.com and I will add you to the private Facebook group. Thank you so much.
On your 30 or your 36-hour fast, are you suggesting that it is best to not even drink water during that time?
No, drink water.
Okay.
Any kind of fast, drink water.
Okay, and is that also true with your vitamins and supplements and those kind of things? Do you suggest staying away from those during that 36 hours, or is that okay?
No, I suggest you take them.
Okay.
So the micronutrients are not going to affect how your body is burning the fat, but you need those micronutrients so that you don't experience the negative effects of the fast, which a lot of people will get a headache, they'll feel dizzy, they'll feel low energy, they'll feel faint. But if you're keeping up with those micronutrients, it helps so much alleviate a lot of those problems. And you'll feel better and you can go longer in your fast. But the water, you just want to keep going so you stay hydrated.
Okay, and then when you break that fast at 30, 36 hours, you're suggesting just like steamed or cooked vegetables?
Right.
Fast?
My husband, when he did the extended fast, he started with the bone broth. So he just drank that. It had all the salt, it's so nourishing, of course, all of the nutrients from the bones. And we always throw in some onion and garlic in there too. And so that gets your stomach going again. And then you can add some steamed vegetables. And then it's all according to how your body's feeling and what you think you can handle. I just don't suggest going to, straight meat or something, just so you can get your system going again and get your bowels going again.
Okay, thank you.
On the extended fast, what's the most difficult period of the fast?
I have not done one that long, but my husband has. And he wrote about it in the blog on ketomamas.com. And I believe he talks about that. What's the hardest part? He does mention that he really missed chewing food. Just having that swallowing. There's things that we don't even think about because we do it every day. But when you go without it, you really miss those little things like that. Of course, social eating. We do that a lot. But you just have to avoid all that when you're doing a fast. So that's hard. But I believe he said it hit by day 3. I'll have to go back and read it.
So, can you go in depth a little bit about bone broth? It's a new thing to me. Where
Yes.
to get it, exactly why it helps us, and what it is.
Yes, bone broth is so ancient. Cultures would boil the bones of animals and extract all those good properties in the bones, even the marrow of the bones, and they would drink the broth. And it is so healing, and there's cultures that still do that. In Chinese cultures, Asia, a lot of those countries still do that, and it's kind of the basis of their whole food is this bone broth. They make the soups and everything. So we've lost that in America, but it's coming back because they're realizing actually there are so many health benefits to bone broth that we had no idea. It's got the collagen, or also known as the gelatin, is helpful with skin, all the connective tissues in the body. And bone broth is really simple to make, especially for us, because you can get a rotisserie chicken already cooked. You can eat the meat off of it, throw the carcass in a crock pot, cover it with water, throw in a little bit of apple cider vinegar, and cover it up. Turn on your crock pot overnight, and in the morning you have bone broth. I add, just cut a onion in half, throw it in even with the peel, and some garlic. That's our favorite way. People will add carrots and celery, things like that. Maybe a bay leaf, whatever seasonings you want. But we just love onion and garlic. That's our favorite. And so you let that cook overnight in that crock pot, and then you have bone broth in the morning, and you can sip on that all day long. Do a bone broth fast where you're just having that. But it could be a meal substitute. Get a big thing of bone broth, and you just drink that for your meal. And it has all those fats in there that I talked about. It's very satiating. Plus, you add salt and make it like a yummy soup. But you're just sipping on it. And you don't eat the bones or any of the vegetables that have cooked all that long. All the good stuff's been taken out of it. It's almost like a tea, but with bones. You're extracting all those properties out. So just throw away the vegetables and the bones and drink the broth. And they've studied this and found that it promotes weight loss. It promotes youthful appearance. And so a lot of women are drinking it now. You asked where to get it. That's the way to make it. There are commercial forms of bone broth powder that make it convenient. You can just add the powder to some liquid and stir it up and drink it. You can find that in most any health food store has bone broth powder. So